Good evening. There's no better way to kick off our first board meeting since the students returned to school than with a little energy from the Belton High School drumline. Tonight's student showcase features the drumline of the Belton High School's M100 under the direction of Ian Smith. This year's ensemble is the largest Belton High School drumline in the past 10 years. Last season, the group was the highest scoring 5A high school at the Drums and Heartland Percussion Contest and earned the Best Front Ensemble Award. More than half of the drumline's members have also earned a place in the Regional Honor Band. Please join me in welcoming the Belton High School drumline as they kick off tonight's student showcase. Okay, so straight from the marching pad to our auditorium, that was the M100 drum line. And if you've never braved the Texas weather in the summer, they are resilient for being here throughout all of this. So please make some noise for them.
Okay, and just real quick, if that's not the way to start a board meeting, I don't know what is. Yeah, I saw y'all rocking it back in the back, so that was incredible.
I think we're waiting on Chris. Is that correct?
All right, are you guys good to go on that side?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening and for your interest in Belton ISD. The time is now 6:18 p.m. Central Time, and the Belton Independent School District Board of Trustees are now convening in a regular board meeting on Monday, August 17th, 2026 at the Pittenger Fine Arts Center, 400 North Wall Street in Belton, Texas. A quorum of board members is present. Note for the record that I, Chris Floor, am not joining in person tonight. I'm joining remotely from College Move-In, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. This meeting has been duly called, and notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. To ensure the meeting runs smoothly tonight and that our physical room is managed effectively, I'm going to relinquish the chair for the meeting tonight. I'm going to turn the gavel over to Vice President Aaron Bass, who will preside over the remainder of the meeting. Thank you. And Mrs. Bass, the floor and the gavel is yours.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, President Floor, for joining us. I know you are enjoying some very momentous time with family, so thanks for stepping away to be with us this evening. All right, I want to welcome the members of our audience and our live stream viewers to this meeting. As the Belton ISD Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. This is a meeting of the Board of Trustees held in public, not a public meeting. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on tonight's agenda. Agenda items may not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. This notice is open to all who wish to attend and hear the meeting's matters discussed. These proceedings are being live streamed on the Board of Trustees YouTube channel and will be available for review in the days following tonight's meeting. For the video to adequately reflect the proceedings, I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that all cell phones are silent. Please rise for a moment of silent prayer or meditation. All right, please remain standing as our students from Chisholm Trail Elementary come lead us in the pledges and to the honors to the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
All right, let's give them a round of applause. All right, you may be seated. Oh, y'all can go. The first item on the agenda this evening is recognitions. We will now turn it over to our communications team.
Good evening, and yes, tonight we would first like to recognize our pledge students from Chisholm Trail. We have third graders Charlotte Bohannon and Emma Gresham. Charlotte's favorite subject is math, and if you ask her friends to tell you about her, they would say she is kind, lovely, and always willing to help others. And Emma's favorite subject is writing, and her friends describe her as kind, caring, and always thoughtful. Thank you, girls, so much for being with us tonight and starting our meeting off. And now we would like to have our Belton High School drumline come up for a photo. You guys started us off in exceptional fashion tonight. This is actually the largest Belton High School drumline in the past 10 years, and more than half of the drumline's members have also earned a place in Regional Honor Band. We can see your expertise on display tonight, and we appreciate you guys giving your time to be with us and start our first meeting of the school year off on the right foot.
Hey, Christine, while they're taking their picture, I'm going to say something here, right? So if the Marching 100 drumline doesn't get you fired up, there's something wrong with you, right? Every time I hear the Marching 100 and the drumline play, I just get goosebumps. And I can tell you that translated across, 1,000 miles or so tonight. You guys were amazing. I'm looking forward to a great competition season for all of Marching 100, but also for you guys as a drumline. So you guys are awesome. Thank you.
Fantastic. And while they are exiting, we are now going to welcome Lake Belton Middle School students Emery Hobson, Sarah Jackson, and Maya Coxell for their outstanding accomplishments at the National History Day contest. Emery, Sarah, and Maya placed first in the local competition, but they went on to the state competition where they also won the national championship, first place in National History Day Junior Group Documentary. We are truly so incredibly proud of you and so excited to see what's next. Congratulations, girls. And our teaching and learning department, please come forward. Our department showcase tonight does highlight this amazing team from developing curriculum and strengthening instructional practices to providing professional learning for our teachers. This group oversees specialized programs including CTE, advanced academics, gifted and talented education, English language learners, Section 504, and special education. They do all of this while leading the district's assessment, accountability, and data efforts. We thank you, Teaching and Learning Department, for your support of all of our schools and helping each and every learner succeed. And as they exit, we will call up our final recognition, community partner, CGI. From providing backpacks and school supplies through Project Heartbeat to donating Christmas gifts for our McKinney-Vento students, CGI helps remove barriers and support our students when they need it the very most. They also host our annual Sphero Coding Camp and support our Career Builders and Manufacturing Day. Truly, we could not do what we do without you. Thank you, CGI, for being such an incredible partner.
Hey, thank you, Team CGI. Sorry I couldn't be there with you.
All right, is this thing on? Okay, so this is the end of our recognitions time. So before we take the opportunity to let you go, I just want to make sure we say from the 7 of us, thank you for being here. I know probably if not all, most of you have already put in 12 hours today. So the fact that you have come back and just, we've been able, it's special for us. It is the best way to start our meetings every month. For you guys to come and just spend a little bit of time. And I will say, our meetings are the third Monday of every month. You are welcome to come back, because I'm telling you, having the drum line at the beginning of our board meetings, that's fantastic. So that does conclude our time of recognition. So you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to stay for the meeting. If not, this was a great time to go. All right, next on the agenda are public comments. In accordance with policy BED local, we will take comments from parents and comments regarding agenda items at this time. Public comments regarding non-agenda items will be heard at the end of the meeting to allow the board to conduct the business of the district. And do we have any? No. All right, and there being no public comments, we will move on to a public hearing. And so that's our next item agenda is public hearing priority 4, public hearing regarding the 2026-2027 budget and proposed tax rate. And we'll turn it over to Melissa.
Yeah, and board, as Melissa walks up, she will give a presentation similar to the information in our workshop that we just finished. Melissa is our Chief Financial Officer, and she's going to talk about our proposed budget for 26-27 and tax rate. So Melissa, take it away.
All right, good evening. Tonight we're here to discuss the proposed 26-27 budget and tax rate, and then we'll open the meeting up for a public hearing. And so I'm going to quickly run through some budget highlights and tax rate highlights with you prior to opening it up for public hearing. All right, for the general fund revenues for 26-27, we're proposing $47.7 million in local revenues, which makes up about 31% of the general fund revenues. State revenues at $103.3 million, and you can see there that primarily our general fund revenues is 68% of those revenues, and then federal revenues come in at about 1% at $1.4 million, for total revenues of $152,469,661. General fund expenditures is also coming in at balanced at $152,469,661. $128.4 million of those expenditures is going to be salaries and benefits. And you can see there from the graph that 84% of those make up those total expenditures is salaries and benefits. Campus and departmental discretionary budgets, their operating budgets, is $24 million. And so with revenues and expenditures, we'll be proposing a balanced budget. All right, accelerated instruction. So Texas Education Code requires school districts to provide accelerated instruction in the subject areas each time a student fails to perform satisfactorily on an assessment instrument. So built into the general fund budget is $734,376 of compensatory education funds for that very purpose. We'll also ask you to kind of pull that out and adopt that separately prior to adopting the general fund budget. All right, so tonight we're proposing 3 separate budgets, the first one being the general fund budget with $152,469,61 in revenues and expenditures for a balanced budget for the general fund. The debt service fund is proposed at a $635,050 surplus with $28.875 million in revenue and $28.240 million in expenditures. And last but not least, the school nutrition fund is intentionally proposing a $918,361 deficit budget with $8.555 million in revenue and $9.473 million in expenditures. All right, this graph here shows you the historical tax rates over the last 10 years. And you can see since tax year 2017, which would have been 17-18, the tax rate has decreased, 48.23 cents, which is basically a 30% decrease in total tax rate since then. So tonight we're proposing an M&O tax rate of 75.52 cents. This is a 3.17 reduction from the prior year's disaster pennies. And then, of course, the INS rate, which is also known as the debt service tax rate, is 36.25 cents, the same as last year, for a total tax rate of $1.1177. All right, Mrs. Vice President, we're ready to open the meeting up for a public hearing.
All right, the time is 6:34, and we will now hold a public hearing regarding the 2026-2027 budget and proposed tax rate. And I see that we have no public comments. And so that we're going to now close the public hearing at 6:35. Board, are there any other follow-up questions for Ms. Lafferty before we consider action items on these items?
I have a quick one. I just want to mention this in a workshop. Thank you for all the hard work that you and your team have done the last 11 months, if not more, and the many hours that are out behind the normal work hours and everything you do. Just a testament, if you can go back a couple of slides, to the historic tax rate from 2017 going down year after year, going down or staying the same every single year for the last 9 years. I mean, that's nearly a decade. We've seen the tax rate for our local citizens go down, and just huge shout out to you, and also this board and current and previous boards as well. There's board members who aren't here tonight who worked really, really hard as well, and so that's just, I think, a value that we have in the community to look out for our neighbors as well. My question, sorry, I forgot my question. What was the percent decrease you said it's gone down since 2017?
30, approximately 30% decrease.
Incredible. Anyone else? Oh, go ahead, Brandon.
So I want to echo Rucker, his comments, and certainly our gratitude to the administration and the team that helped guide us through this. I don't want to be a downer, but I think it's still important to recognize the overall environment that we're working in, and it is still a challenge. I won't force everybody to read them off, but if you go to our website, you can see we had over $4.1 million in reductions through this budget process. A lot of those were positions that had to be eliminated. They were eliminated through attrition, not through RIFs, but still, those are positions we had in the budget last year that we did not carry forward this year, and many of them were, all of them, I would say at this point, were very important. And so I think we continue to work through that challenge. You can even go back all the way through when we started this exercise back in 24, 25. Again, super proud of the team who put together a balanced budget for the second year in a row after a few years of deficit spending, because there's a lot of districts that weren't able to accomplish that. But that was accomplished through some really, really hard decisions, and the financial climate around public schools is still a challenge. You know, I think we have I'm glad we were able to give a raise this year, but, you know, 1.5% is not where, obviously, we hoped that we would end. So that, again, I don't want to diminish all the great work that your team did and how proud I am of the committee and the board and the administration for getting us to this point, but did want to, you know, say it's still hard, and come next year, I don't know what would be left to cut if we had to in order to just sustain cost of living increases for employees. So hopefully we've got another year between now and next year's budget adoption and a legislative session, and things could change, but wanted to kind of make that point and again stress how grateful we are for the team to navigate us through this.
It's definitely been a team effort between Budget Committee and the rest of the admin.
Okay, all right, Chris?
Yeah. I'll jump in real quick here. So thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Rucker. I mean, right on. I completely concur. I won't repeat any of that, but right on. If you don't mind just rolling back one more slide prior to this, yeah, there you go. Right, this one's always an eyebrow raiser, so it does take maybe a little explanation on the school nutrition, right? I think in what Melissa said was, you know, we're intentionally looking at a $918,000 deficit. There's a couple of things at play here. You know, one, you know, we statutorily can only maintain a fund balance of so much, and we can get ourselves in a little bit of stickiness if we don't spend that down, and so we're looking to do that. And there's also some interesting things around, you know, cost of meals and things like that, and we don't really have a whole lot of flexibility there. And so I think we're intentionally trying to make sure we're hitting things in the school nutrition area that keep us compliant, you know, with all of those other environmental factors that we go forward. So definitely intentional, as Melissa shared.
Okay. Anyone else before we move on? All right, we're going to move on to the action items of our agenda. So the first action item is we're going to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding the adoption of the budget for accelerated instruction for the 2026-2027 school year. Do we have a motion to adopt the budget for accelerated instruction for the 2026-2027 school year as presented? Got a motion by Mr. Norwood. Can I get a second? Rucker? Is there any additional discussion?
So do we need to, sorry, this is Chris, do we actually need to restate the motion from a process standpoint here, given that it's tax rate?
No, this
Yeah,
is accelerated instruction.
Oh, it's got, okay, got it. Okay, thank you, sorry.
Okay, here you go. Okay, all in favor, then raise your hand. Opposed? Oh, there we go. Okay. Let's do that one again. I think there was a little delay. Can all in favor raise your hand? All right, there we go. And that passes 7-0. All right, next action item is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding the adoption of the budget for the 2026-2027 school year. Do we have a motion to adopt the 2026-2027 fiscal year budget as presented? All right, Mr. Brandon? Mr. Bozon? Can I get a second? Mr. Beck? Is there any further discussion? Okay. Are you all good? Okay. All right, all in favor, raise your hand. And that passes 7-0. All right, next action item is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding resolutions adopting the tax rate for the 2026-2027 school year. I think this is where we have some
Yeah,
specific
this one has the
language.
motion language.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I move to approve the resolution adopting a maintenance and operations tax rate of 75.52 cents and a debt service tax rate of 36.25 cents for a total tax rate of $1,011.77.
Okay, that was our motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Preston? Is there any additional discussion? All right, all in favor, raise your hand. And that passes 7-0. All right, our next action item. Oh, yes, thank you. We're going to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding naming a delegate and an alternate for the 2026 TASB Delegate Assembly. And so I think even though we know what the delegate and alternate do, I think it's important just for our audience, give a little description of what that is. So the TASB's Delegate Assembly gives school boards a direct voice in advocating for Texas public schools and in the overall direction of the association. The board may appoint one delegate and one alternate to serve as its representatives at the 2026 Delegate Assembly, which will be held in October at the TASB convention in Houston. And just for, I think, clarification, if anyone's interested in what that is, it's really when the school boards across the state of Texas come together for one very large meeting, and they conduct the business of us as school boards. And it starts with really way before October. School boards can give their input about what's important to their school districts. It starts at the grassroots level. Then they take that, TASB will take that to the regions, and then they start to eventually get to what are the state's priorities, are what's important to school boards. So it really is a way for districts across the state of Texas to really have their voices heard of what's important to them. And so it's just an official, very long board meeting at that conference in October. So at this time, I'll just open the floor for discussion or for nominations.
I've served as delegate or an alternate, I guess, for 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure now at this point. I don't have any problem serving again. However, if someone else wanted to serve as delegate, that would be fine. But I have no problem serving as well.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Preston.
I just think Rucker's experience is so invaluable.
Well,
If we could nominate
you
him
know-
for multiple years,
Yeah.
I would make that, but
You
we
know-
can just do the next year for now.
To get that experience, I think maybe serving as an alternate would be a good opportunity for you, Mr. Bozon.
And we do have to nominate not only a delegate, but also an alternate, in case the delegate decides something comes up and the alternate steps in their place. So it's very fascinating. I've actually been able to do it. In the 5 years that I've been on, I've been a delegate 2, maybe 3 times, and an alternate. It's a really fascinating and interesting process.
And just to be clear, you and I were delegate and alternates last year, correct?
I was not
Was
either
it
one
Chris and
last
I?
year. I think
It was you
the
and
two
I.
of y'all.
Okay, all right. It was
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Okay. So it sounds like we have someone's own nomination.
I would like to nominate Rucker Preston as our TASB delegate and Brandon Bozon as our alternate delegate.
I actually can't go to the conferences.
Okay.
So Aaron,
So, okay. I don't mind going as the alternate. I got you.
I
got
will
you,
with- I will
Brandon.
withdraw that
I got
nomination
you,
and
Rucker.
restate that nomination.
Okay, all right. So do we have a motion to appoint a delegate and an alternate?
Yes. I motion that we appoint the main delegate to be Rucker Preston and the alternate to be Aaron Bass.
All right, do we have a second? Mr. Beck, is there any additional discussion or comments?
Can we nominate for the next year?
No. All right, all in favor, raise your hand. And that passes 7-0. I want to make sure I get that in there. Okay, so that was Jeff. All right, need to make sure those reflect accurately. All right, our next action item is going to be item number 5, priority 3 and 4. We're going to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding the commission of a citizens bond advisory committee. Dr. Golden?
Yes, so Mike Morgan, our deputy superintendent, has made his way to the podium. Mike this evening is going to share with you big picture, what is a Citizens Bond Advisory Committee, talk to you about process and role, and really ultimately looking for an engaged group of citizens that represent all across our district to really study our long-range facility plan and help us prioritize and make recommendations for the future. So Mike's going to jump in and give you some of the details.
Thank you, Dr. Golden, Board of Trustees. I am here tonight to give those types of information that Dr. Golden just mentioned, and ultimately to ask you to approve the commissioning of a Citizens Bond Advisory Committee. The committee's purpose and intended outcomes, it's really three things. We want the committee to bring a committee of diverse community members, parents, together to review our demographic information, growth trends, facility assessment. We did bring to you last month an action or a consent item to allow us to move forward with some of the types of master planning that we need to have as an updated master plan. And I'll talk about that a little bit more later as I talk about bond and capital projects. But we would ask the committee to go through that, to go through a data-driven process to assess those needs, and then advise the district and the superintendent of any potential bond package. That we would ask that the committee collaborate in a way that does this and that prioritizes needs and also does so in a fiscally responsible manner. The roles and responsibilities of the different groups that would be involved. I just talked a little in depth about the committee and the committee's process and the committee's purpose. I would note that administrative support, the administrative support is we're there to provide information to the committee, to provide data to the committee, and to answer questions that the committee may have as they work through the facilitated process. The superintendent ultimately would work with the committee to refine recommendations and then ensure project feasibility. And then you as the Board of Trustees have a very unique role in this process. One, we would ask that if approved tonight, that each of you nominate 2 community members to serve on the committee. We will keep you updated throughout so that you may monitor progress, review final proposals, and then I would like to just reiterate once again that when you call a committee like this together, we are not committing the district to the action of calling a bond, that only the Board of Trustees may call a bond, but we are engaging community members and parents to discuss the possibility of projects that could be included in such bond. The proposition, scope, and statutory boundaries, this is a little different, and what we're recommending as an administrative team is that the scope and study of the recommendations for this committee are strictly restricted to a single general proposition measure, what is typically called a Prop A. So the types of projects that can be included in a Prop A would include your general construction, campus and classroom upgrades, security upgrades, buses, improvements on competitive facilities of less than 1,000 seats, and land acquisition. Those are the only types of projects that could be approved into a Prop A. So we would limit the scope of this committee to only consider Prop A, or Proposition A, general proposition projects. The timeline is seen above. The committee, if approved, would commence on mid-September, on September 17th, 2026, and would work through the fall. The time period between meetings is deliberate to allow community members time to really study the data and go out and seek input from other members of their community and friends and family in the community who may have an opinion as well, so that they can come back as informed as possible. There is, if you can see, meeting 3 is in October. It is a facility tour. It's on a Saturday morning, and at that time we would want to take the full committee around to see various facilities in the district based on the needs outlined in our facility master plan. And at this time, I would open for discussion around commissioning a Citizens Bond Advisory Committee.
Board, any questions or comments for Dr. Morgan?
I had a couple thoughts. I was on one of these a couple of years back, and I love the idea of doing the facility tours on a Saturday for 4 hours and going all over the place. I also thought it helped when I did it, just that we met at different campuses during those meetings so we could get eyes on and actually see what certain campuses needed. Whether that needs to be done on this next one or not with that Saturday meeting, I don't know. But I think that's a great plan so that everybody can actually get eyes on the actual projects that potentially need to be addressed.
Anyone else? One thing that I've always appreciated, at least just since being on the board since 2021, just how you guys do such an incredible job of balancing the now, what we're doing now, but also just being proactive and looking ahead, and not just years ahead, but months ahead. And so I think this is just a proactive step. And I also appreciate that this does not mean that we are calling for a bond. It's a step in that potential direction to be proactive. And it's just, I think we've also done a great job, in my opinion, of just our transparency with the community, because I do think that we do a good job of making sure that there's a very well-represented group of people, our students, staff, parents from all over the district. And so I'm excited about it, just to hear how what's to come.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Chris, make sure we're not leaving you out.
I think you all have covered it, and I just drive the point home from Mike that this is not the Board of Trustees calling for a bond, right? This is calling for community input on what are the needs of the district right now, and to really gather that community input to decide then at a later date what do we need to do going forward. And so like Riley said, I participated in the last round as well, and found the community input very valuable, all through this. And so I will thank all of the committee members in advance. I know we have a name that, we haven't submitted our names yet, but it's a really important role. And so thank you for all the work going into to set the roles and responsibilities, to set the charter in place, and to really focus this in on, a Proposition A. So,
thank you for that, Chris.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the commissioning of a Citizens Bond Advisory Committee as presented? All right, Mr. Preston? Is there a second? Mr. Alcozer? Is there any additional conversation or discussion? All right, all in favor, raise your hand. And that passes 7-0. All right, that concludes our action items of the evening. Next on our agenda is reports. And our first one is going to be on priority 4, bond and capital projects.
Yes, and Dr. Morgan's going to stay at the podium for this item and the next one. So Mike's going to just get comfortable right where he is. We have all of our action items first, then reports. I do wish we could have done this out of order a little bit, because I think this report is incredibly important, and definitely ties into the why and the next steps on potentially calling for a citizens bond advisory committee. But Mike's going to walk you through the conclusion of the 2022 bond, what we've been able to do beyond that, with some savings, as well as with our M&O funds in terms of some capital projects. So we're going to turn it back over to Mike.
Dr. Golan, Board of Trustees, I'm really excited to give this report tonight. It seems like for several years, the bulk of this report has always been around bond updates and progress and financial statements and things like that. But it's nice to be able to, for the second time, come back and really tie in all the capital projects work that we've been able to accomplish this year. I'm thankful for our team here within Belton ISD, and I'll always be remiss to the different design and construction partners and subcontractors that have worked with us. And then also, as you'll find out later, just the partnership from our administrative campus leaders and department leaders, and their willingness to really dig in and take a look and let us know what their needs are. So I'll start with talking through bond projects. This is a list that y'all have been seeing in one form or another since the summer of 2022. As reported in March, I'm still happy to report that 100% of these projects have been complete. This was in bulk, the original Prop A or general prop in the 2022 bond that was a $168 million Proposition A that passed in May of 2022. If you'll remember, these projects all fall within really one of four categories. They were to address growth, in this case primarily at the elementary schools. Our safety and security items, a significant investment district-wide in those, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing needs, or MEP, and then also program improvements, primarily in CTE and fine arts at multiple campuses around the district. As we reported back in March, that as we finished all of the scheduled projects in the 2022 bond, that there were going to be remaining bond funds that we intended to come back and, through a prioritized list of capital needs, invest that money back into the different facility needs across the district. So I'm happy to report that since that time and over the summer, we've been able to invest a little over $2 million in additional bond funds, primarily around safety and MEP projects. It's allowed us to, if you'll see, it's allowed us to circle back on electrical and HVAC work at BHS that was originally back in 21 and 22 identified as a need, but did not make it onto the final bond list whenever we had to work it within the budget. Some safety initiatives that we're really proud of. We've been able to get all of our middle schools updated into the cloud-based camera systems, and that's made a significant difference in safety and security at those campuses. We've also started phase one of our elementary playground safety fencing project at 3 campuses, and along with our new campuses, gives us 5 campuses with our phase one of those improvements. We went ahead and were able to, we've talked before about the LED lighting at BMS in Lakewood. We had to wait, even though that project had been part, as we had carried all along and approved, we needed to wait until this summer when we could actually get the work scheduled when students weren't in those classrooms. And then the TransFinder bus tablets, which is another significant safety and security investment. We were operating on Generation 1 tablets for our smart tag navigation system, and we're able to upgrade to, I think, Generation 5 or 6 of those tablets. We also had a significant investment of M&O, or our maintenance and operations funds, into this year's capital projects, around $2.8 million investment, which included roof replacements at 2 very much needed facilities, transportation and DAEP. We were able, through some of our technology department funds and planning funds, to go ahead and do the upgrade security cameras to the cloud-based system at Lake Belton High School. Significant safety improvement there. Replace some needed playground equipment that was at end of life at Purtle Elementary. We had our storm damages. We also have facility planning. We're in the process of, in conjunction or leading up to our Citizens Bond Advisory Committee, we're working with a firm to update our facility master plan and ed specifications, which are both TEA required, and we'll be bringing those back to you at a later date whenever they're complete for board adoption, and then our ed adequacy assessments of our campuses as well. And then we did some much needed safety improvements at Tiger Field with the turf replacement and LED stadium lights. So really proud that we were able to, through the hard work of our team and Melissa and the budget committee and everyone else, to be able to commit funds to M&O funds to these capital projects. Also, we spent a significant amount of time with our facilities committee talking through a process that we reinstituted, and I think even better than we had done it before, working through our summer projects list. I think Dr. Golden thought we were crazy that we spent that long in a committee meeting to talk about it, but then I remember I think Jeff came back at the committee report, and it was something different than what we had done in the past. But we started off with our facility needs assessment and our list from our facility assessment data, but then we polled and gave our principals and our department leads an opportunity to go back and talk to their staff and their students and their communities, and they came up with about 215 different things that they felt like were facility needs that needed to be addressed on their campuses. And over the course of the late winter and early spring, we developed a prioritization rubric, and then we had set aside about $300,000 out of our facilities department budget to be sole purpose was for summer projects. And we were able to, in this first completion, we were able to impact 12 campuses, and we actually came in a little on a few of the projects under what our estimated costs were. So as of the start of school, we had invested about $275,000 in summer projects that were a direct result of input from our campus leaders and department leaders. And most of these revolved around safety and security, accessibility, a lot of painting. We had really trying to catch up on painting common spaces and corridors, some minor renovations. We were finally able, if you've been following our needs the last few years, to put the second staff restroom in at DAP. Really proud of that one as a summer project. And then we also power washed, restriped, and repainted all of our fire lanes at all campuses this summer too. And it had been, that's going to be an annual event from now on, but I think it's made a big difference in some of the curb appeal and some of the external appearances of our campuses. And so for next steps, we do feel like this work aligns directly with 411 in our new strategic plan. And we like I said earlier, we did spend about $2 million in remaining bond funds. We conservatively estimate, and we won't know for sure till we get a little further along and really evaluate closeouts of all projects and interest earnings and contingency and those sorts of things. But we think we'll have around $2.8 million in remaining 2022 bond funds. And that, with our capital project budget and our summer project budget, should allow around $3.6 million to address M&O, or to address capital needs. Like I mentioned earlier, we're in the process and have been in the process of updating facility conditions, cost estimates, ed specs, and our long-range master plan. And I would say the two things that we hope to do better next year is we would like to get our prioritized list done sooner, and we would like to get procurement done earlier and really try to sequence the work where we begin as much of our summer and capital work as we can right when school ends next year, and we're not pushing back up towards the end of summer on some of those things as well. So that's something we would like to see as a program improvement moving into next year. And so, like I say, I'd gladly give that report. I'm really proud of the work, and I think we've impacted a lot of campuses with the resources that we've had this year.
Any questions or comments for Dr. Morgan? No? All right. Thanks, Dr. Morgan.
Thank you.
All right, our next report is for Priority 1, Strategic Plan Report. Dr. Golden?
Yes, so Mike is staying at the podium for this one as well. So as you know, Board, we started in February. We launched a strategic planning process, really thinking about the next 5 years for Belton ISD. Mike's going to remind you of how we brought people together to really listen to the strengths for Belton that we want to make sure we build on and keep, the challenges that we know exist within our system, and opportunities for the future. Y'all adopted strategic objectives, I believe it was April or May this past spring, and we went to work. So I've told everybody, don't be afraid by the amount of text that's on the next couple of slides. Mike will not read this to you.
Correct.
He promises, but we want you to see, hear, process, and see what is on our website, because Destination 2030 launched at Convocation, and the work is beginning. So Mike's going to kick it off from here.
Thanks once again, Dr. Golden, Board of Trustees. And so, yeah, this plan, as you can see there on our purpose, we also set a small timeline. Really began with community input. We did multiple SWOT analysis of 7 or 8 different groups, surveys, listening sessions, board workshops, and we really gathered as much data as we could. And then we went to work kind of based on that feedback we had gotten, and a lot of it was from you as the Board of Trustees. So tonight's report will show what's happened since we adopted that foundational work back in April. Really, April through June, our team, our entire leadership team has worked really hard to make those priorities and make those initial strategic objectives come to life. And then once we had settled in July and August, we really needed to shore up, number one, what is the work that it's going to take in year one in 26, 27 to ultimately get us where we want to be at the end of the Destination 31 journey? And then finally is make sure that we communicate those well to our campus and departments so that those same goals and thoughts can be incorporated into their plans. And then now we're moving into the phase where we're going to execute the plan, monitor progress, and then report progress back so that we can see if we can accomplish those things. You can see that the foundational work that was adopted back in April around vision, mission, values, and beliefs, along with our leadership definition, Journey of a Graduate, is the foundational work by which we want to lead and we want our students to grow in Belton ISD. I do think it's worth pointing out each one of these processes were developed through a group of in cases of the foundational work and Journey of a Graduate, community input, and then in the case of our leadership definition, really working with what does our community expect from us as leaders and what do we want to be as leaders. And we had a cross-functional team of teachers and administrators and paraprofessionals that worked on that. As I move to, like Melinda said, I will not read through, but we did want there to be a presentation to the community and to you, the Board of Trustees, that shows the entirety of the work. And so really, if you remember, priority one is around students, is we want to be a student-focused and student-centered district, and our first priority is and will be to students. And we really broke this down into 4 areas. We want to see our students grow. We want to see our students do really well is when we progress check in and increase the students meeting or mastering grade level STAR and EOC. We want to increase the students earning advanced credentials in CCMR. We want to raise the percentage of student, staff, and parents who feel safe, and we want to expand choice and learning options, and we want to balance digital integration in K-12 classrooms. I think we've really started that work in earnest, and we reported to y'all last month on where we are with technology in the classroom and where we want to be. If you'll recall, I'm going to advance to priority 2. Priority 2 is around staff. We know that students are only going to be focused and centered when we have highly trained and quality staff in place. So we really have some priorities around staff. We want to get 100% certified in our foundational course teachers. We want to significantly reduce our turnover rate, and we want to increase the percentage of staff who report that their professional learning is extremely relevant and valued to their positions. Community is priority 3, and we really want to focus this around increasing the percentage of parents who have opportunities to be involved in their child's campus. We want to increase that district and campus communication satisfaction with our parents, and we want to provide better service to parents and staff to staff. And then if you'll remember, priority 4 is around financial management. We want to implement our long-range plan with fidelity, with 100% of available resources, whatever those may be from year to year. We want to systemically increase the discretionary funding that we use to support students identified with high academic needs, and we want to continue to adopt balanced budgets and keep our fund balance within board policy. Next month, we will be bringing back campus improvement plans to you. I think you'll see Destination 2031 as evident in those campus improvement plans, as in the district improvement plan and the department improvement plans as well that I spoke of earlier. The work you saw tonight will align the work of each BISD team member for the next 5 years as we try to make this Destination 31 come to life. So our whole entire team is available for any additional discussions or questions about the strategic plan at this time.
Board, is there any discussion or questions?
I'll hit this real quick if I can. I want to thank everybody who's been involved in the whole Destination 2031 effort, right? I mean, this started with a community approach to really define what it is that, we as a district believe we want for our kids and for our district. And it's come, now almost full circle to the fact that we've now got this fully fleshed out and we're, ready to execute and monitor all the way along. But it's based on our kids are number one, right? The way our students perform, the experience that our students have, right? The student experience and the student sort of the way that they live the journey of a graduate, right? Priority number one, right? And they couldn't do that without amazing staff, right? And staff that, great staff that we attract, staff that we retain, the support that we give them to help hone the art and the science around delivery of education and supporting our kids. And again, none of that would be possible without our community, right? Which includes our parents, our staff, our businesses, right? The local community. We are all, the community is stronger when our schools are stronger. And then it's, for the financial management piece of it, we've got to be financially responsible, transparent, well managed from a financial management standpoint, because resources are not infinite, right? And so those are the four priorities, and it's taken an army to get here. Thank you, Mike, for running through this. I want to thank Dr. Golden as well. The way that you laid this out at convocation was absolutely amazing for the staff. You did a great job. In my time on the board, I think this is, probably, I'm going to say the best strategic plan that we've had in place since my time on the board, from a laser focus, like understanding, hey, look, these are the four things. We've boiled it down, laser focus on what it is we want to do and go forward. I feel great about what we've got in place. The work is hard. That's going to continue, and let's do it, and let's monitor, and let's continuously improve. So thank you to everybody.
Well said, Chris. Anyone else? All right. I think we are going to move on to our next report, and that's going to be on priority one, our students. And that's going to be an academic progress report with Dr. Nino.
Yeah, and Mike Morgan is happy to relinquish the podium. So Gabby Nino is our Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning, and Gabby's going to give you an update. We have TEA accountability ratings and want to share information about that rating system process, and then really highlight the improvement efforts moving forward. Everything Gabby's going to talk about is very anchored in the strategic plan. I'm very proud of the work of our teaching and learning team, our teachers, and our principals. So with that, Gabby's going to take it away.
Absolutely. So Melinda just highlighted our purpose today. I want to connect you all back to our workshop in July, where we took a deeper dive in our academic data. And this is really a high-level report out on how all of that data was built together to give us our ratings within the TEA accountability system. And this will just be focused on our high-level district rating. Just as a quick reminder, our district rating comes from the STAR test. For 100% of the rating comes from STAR in both elementary and middle school. And then from our high schools, it's a more holistic approach to their rating that includes both the STAR EOC scores, CCMR rates, and graduation rates. And then all of these are combined together to give us a district rating. This is a high-level overview of our actual scores side by side compared to our previous year, 2025, in each of the different domains that we receive scores in. The first one being student achievement. And this is just straightforward, how did our students score on their state assessments, the STAR test, and we show progress in student achievement up to an 81 B rating this school year. School progress really measures how students, and you'll see a direct connection to our strategic plan, how students are progressing within the system with their individual targets. So under school progress, there's two different ways we're measured, both with individual student growth, but also comparison to districts who have similar demographics to ours, particularly with economically disadvantaged students. We have a C rating in school progress, up slightly again from 2025. And the best of those two scores are combined for your overall rating, which means that achievement is higher for us. Our students are performing at high levels achievement-wise, and so that was brought into the overall rating at a higher degree than school progress. And then that last category is called closing the gaps, and it's a study of each of the different student groups that you serve within your district and how they are performing. You can see that we have a C in closing the gaps. We are able to identify that with specific groups, including our economically disadvantaged students, our special education populations, and our emerging bilingual students, that there are areas for us to improve in closing the gaps, and you'll see that those are prioritized for us moving forward. We are proud to say that we have maintained our overall district rating of a B in Belton ISD. This was progress for us in last school year where we had maintained a C rating for several years prior to that. And so while we want to see continued growth, we are proud to say that we have maintained our B rating as a district. There are some highlights within our overall rating, in particular in the area of achievement. Within achievement, in particular our high schools and their EOC data, they are regionally and statewide far exceeding our peers, and so we are proud of that. This also under achievement, we highlight our graduation rate for our students. We are just under 98% graduation rate, which is something for us to celebrate as well. And so again, we are very proud of the achievement rates and some significant highlights that we've dug into over time. Our high schools really stand out in comparison to the region and state. We also have a college career military rating of a 94 or A in our district, which emphasizes our preparation for life after high school, that our students are leaving us and empowered to choose, am I going to enter college, am I going to enter military, or go straight into a career of my choosing based on my preparedness in high school. And then we also are celebrating 11 distinctions across our district. Distinctions are areas of exceptional growth or performance in comparison to districts across the state, and we have earned distinctions in the area of closing the gaps in some of our campuses. We've also earned distinctions in the area of student progress, in English language arts, in science, and in social studies. And some of those are duplicated across our system. And so we want to share those highlights while also saying we definitely have areas that we will continue to focus on improvement. And you will see deep connection to our strategic plan. Yes, the strategic plan highlights higher level information in those priority areas around increasing the students who are meeting or exceeding growth targets, as well as increasing advanced credentialing earnings under CCMR. But the how we're going to go about doing that is through continued tightening and aligning instructionally. The way we are going to do that is through, first, the curriculum focus. You all supported our adoption of SAVIS, which is considered a high-quality instructional material in language arts. And then this year, we'll be rolling out Bluebonnet Math for our math instruction, which is an adopted high-quality instructional material that you supported. As you know, we applied for a competitive grant to support the implementation of this curriculum. And what that's going to bring with it is very intense professional learning and coaching for our teachers and leaders in the implementation of that curriculum. It's about implementing consistently every single day in every classroom. You will see highlights here of a focus and emphasis on our special education students and the English language proficiency standards. What I have not spent as much time talking to you all about is that beyond just our grade level standards, there are specific focus areas for students who are acquiring the English language. And we have made an intentional effort to ensure that those are emphasized in the adoption of curriculum, resources, as well as in our written curriculum that we have. As it relates to assessment for learning, we have shared assessment results with you over time in some of our beginning, middle, and end of year assessments. What we have not spent as much talking about is at the end of each unit of study. And this year there will be a shift in practices at the classroom level to where all of our teachers are taking part in shared unit common assessments, meaning at the end of the unit across all, I'll use example, third grade math classrooms, our teachers will take the same unit assessment based on what they have learned. We will also be really focusing on the growth targets at the student level and a calendared student data analysis. We will have benchmark times based on those assessments that we provide, that not only all of our classroom teachers, campus leaders, but our district leadership team will be looking at assessment results during the same calendar times. The last area of emphasis will be in professional learning. There, as I mentioned earlier, around our high quality instructional resources, there will be significant training for our principals that is aligned to what the teachers are experiencing in the resources that we are implementing in our classrooms. And there will be a shift towards coaching specifically around math this year as a priority area for us. Right, as we transition forward, I want to remind you all that this is our final year of STAR as it currently stands. This is also the last year of CCMR as it stands right now. We are transitioning to the changes that we've discussed over time with leveling of IBCs, shifts in college readiness assessments that will impact the class of 2031. In the 27-28 school year, we will start seeing the transition to what is called the student success team, not success team, it's the student success test that will be a progress measure throughout the year at the statewide level, with cut scores also increasing for CCMR. And so with that, again, I am proud that we have maintained our district rating of B, and also want to emphasize that we have very targeted areas of improvement that we are very focused on in the coming school year. You will see alignment moving forward in our next board meeting in our campus improvement plans to individual targets, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have.
Board, any questions or comments for Dr. Golden?
So Gabby or Holly, sorry, put you on notice, Holly. One of the questions I've received recently is in the area of school progress. So can you talk about how different districts can have lower scores in school progress but outperform other schools or school districts with higher raw scores? Can you just explain a little bit about what is unique in the school progress domain?
Yes. So when we talk about student achievement, I'll call it absolute performance, just how you did on your assessments. In school progress, districts and campuses are put into groups or bands who have similar ranges for economically disadvantaged students. And then your raw scores are set into cuts that you may have a lower performance threshold if you have a higher degree of economically disadvantaged students. If you have a lower percentage of students who are economically disadvantaged, the scores associated with student performance in order to earn an A, a B, a C, or a D is higher because of the percentage of economically disadvantaged students you have. So absolute performance is not equal depending on the percentage of students that you have who are economically disadvantaged.
Yeah.
Holly?
Is that by the district or by the school?
Both. So every campus is put into like schools groups, and so they each have a group of schools that they are compared to, and so the scores will translate in the same way.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I think it is important for us to take time to just stop and praise the highlights of what's happening. I know that with the scores that just came out, there's lots of rumblings, and I think human nature, we immediately go to the negative and where we missed the mark or what we could have done better, and while we need to acknowledge those, and which I think we have, and we're going to march forward, and I think we've got a great plan for that. And we need to talk about those, but I think it's equally important to stop and praise our kids for doing, they made growth. I mean, I think it would be unfair to our students for us to just focus on all the negative, but to stop and say all the highlights, that there are some good things that come out of it. And so I appreciate you just taking the time to share the good that is coming out of Belton ISD, because there is a lot of good. So
I appreciate that. Sometimes it is hard to celebrate because we go instantly into school improvement mode, because even if we had received an A rating, we would not be sitting here telling you we were satisfied. There are always ways in which you can improve, and we are very proud when you look at our raw scores across content areas. We do outperform the region and the state. But that does not mean we're satisfied with that. And while, I am proud that we've been able to move to a B for the second year in a row, we do have tremendous work to do. We know we have work to do at campuses, and that work looks a little different depending on the campus. But I do appreciate that because we have an incredible group of teachers who work very hard every day, and leaders that do as well. And again, it's just like when you get survey data back, I'm the worst. I don't look at the 95% that's great. I go to the 5% that I'm like, okay, we didn't do so great there, so let's work on that. And I do feel exceptionally confident that we will embrace and keep the things that are going well. We've done a lot of digging into what were our challenges, and we're going to be addressing those, and we're going to be reporting data back to you throughout the year and how we're making progress towards, and all of that is sitting in priority 1 in our strategic plan.
Thank you, Dr. Golden. All right.
Hey, real quick, Aaron, sorry. Yeah, I mean, the achievement, the CCMR, the 11 distinctions, right? We've got a lot to be proud of there, right? I can just tell you, I know since I joined the board in 2018, our CCMR, percentage is more than doubled, right? Our scores more than doubled, right? So there's a lot of great things that are going on, right? And there's absolutely areas that we got to get after, right? I feel like the staff, like Dr. Golden and the team understand where those areas are that we have to get after, right? I feel like they understand those areas, right? So the first step is naming it, right? Like we have to know what those areas are. We've got, I think, better data than we've ever had, from a framework perspective to understand even down to the classroom and to the individual student, how are we doing, right? And so we've got, I think, some great we understand where the problems are. I think we understand, we've got the frameworks in place with the data. And now we're at the point where it's, hey, let's make sure that we are applying the science also to the art, of educating our students and moving these needles. And we're doing it with fidelity and synchronized across the district. And we're looking at this the same way. And we're looking at ourselves and telling ourselves the honest story in the mirror about how do we move those needles, right? And so I think we're at the maybe not at the beginning of that, right? We've had some of that data, for the last half a year or so, but we've now got it all, and so now we can put our foot on the accelerator and let's really get after those areas. And like I said, I feel like the staff knows where it is, and now we're getting supercharged to get it done. So thank you for all the work. That's gone into this and all the work that's coming to kind of get after those areas while we're holding strong in the areas where we show strength.
Thanks, Chris. All right, we're going to move on to our board committee reports, and the first one is policy. And I'm going to say it's the fun committee, right, Riley? It is the fun committee. So all of these are in your consent agenda, and so if you've looked through those, there's nothing new or extra, but I'll just give you a little context behind those. The first one we talked about was CDA local, which is on investments. It is just a required annual review of that policy, and Melissa and her team had no recommended changes to that policy. And then we finished our policy update 126, so we're now moving into policy update 127. So we had a first reading of just a handful of policies that were all focused on really personnel. The first one was BJCF local, which is on the superintendent non-renewal, and they just added some language to one of the items. I think it's number 14 on disability, and I'll just even say it just so I don't mess it up. And these are reasons that a superintendent for non-renewal on their contract. So it says disability not otherwise protected by law that prohibits the superintendent performing the essential functions of the job. And then they added with or without reasonable accommodation. And then they added a couple of more lines on under reasons, and it was just under 27 and 28 if you're interested in looking at that as additional reasons. And so superintendents are not able to engage in or assign to another individual, whether intentionally or knowingly, an instruction that's prohibited by law. And then they added a similar one just like number 27, which is 28, and basically that they are not to engage in any assigning to another individual, and I'm just going to read it so I don't butcher it, whether intentionally or knowingly, diversity, equity, and inclusion duties prohibited by law. So that was it for BJCF local. We looked at DC local, which is on employment practices. They made some very minor, just clerical and grammatical changes, even added a link to DHA local, DHA legal. They added the link to that just so that alignment is there. And the same thing with DH local on employee standards of contact. They added a hyperlink just to make sure it's linked to DHA legal. And then the last one was DP local on personnel positions, and really what they did is they took it and separated it into two new policies, which are DPA local, which is regarding principal qualifications, and DPB local, which is regarding counselors. But the content didn't change. They just literally took it and separated it into two. And that was it. That was our meeting. Anything else, Riley? All right. How about the Budget Committee?
Fund Committee, I think you have that correct. A lot of what you heard in the workshop today, and then what Melissa presented earlier on the public hearing on our budgets, a lot what we talked about. So I'll go over the highlights briefly since we've already heard a lot of this content twice this evening. But our initial amended budget was putting us at about $10,000 surplus, looking to have the actual budget about $1.25 million, putting our fund balance at around 23% for this end of this fiscal year. Another balanced budget for 2 consecutive years. Very happy about that. Even there was some very difficult choices along the way that Brandon mentioned earlier were brought up, with a 1.5% pay raise for all staff and teachers, about $500,000 allocated for capital projects, and then almost $750,000 for accelerated instruction is included in there, and then our tax rate dropping by a little more than 3 cents to $1.1177. And then again, just to say for the third time tonight, highlight is to see that our tax rate has stayed the same or dropped for 9 consecutive years. So that's a lot of what we talked about in budget, and you've heard tonight. Anything else?
Well, just to put a little more context or the comments I made earlier about the cuts that have to be made and the struggle, I was running numbers. So if you just took our 21-22 budget and walked that forward, just adjusting for inflation, not adjusting for the fact that our student population has grown by about 900 students since then, that budget would have been $168 million. The budget we adopted tonight was around $152 million. So there have been real cuts, and that's not adjusting for more students. So there have been really hard decisions. Again, I'm super proud of the team and how we've handled those, and really some of the very creative and exciting things that came out of the administrative recommendations, but still wanted to point out that it's still, school finance will continue to be a challenge, and I'm super glad we have the team that we have to help guide us through it.
Okay.
Hey, Brandon, thanks for that comment. I've never looked at it that close. So that just gives me more context of how great a job these folks did for us.
Yep. All right, we're going to move on to the superintendent's report.
Right. So we had a convocation. We had convocation since the last time we were together. Thank y'all for playing along with us. I've discovered that some of our board members may have some roping skills that we were not, or maybe they don't. I don't know. Chris is shaking his head. There were some horse races. Stick horses, let me be clear about that. I should have revised how I said that. Christine's not loving that right now. But it was really great, to be able to bring together, we are a large organization. So to bring your over 2,100 team members into one space. We only get to do that one time a year. And you walk in, and I want to do a shout out to UMHB. They provide that space to us for free. They are an incredible partner. We are so thankful that they are willing to do that. We do not have the space to do that. We don't have large meeting spaces in Belton. It's hard to get 100 people together. And so we're thankful to them, and it was lots of fun. Shout out to our communications team for making it fun. They knew I wasn't thrilled about the music choice, but it actually ended up being so great, and people had a lot of fun with it. I had a lot of fun with it. I think there might have been, it wasn't a yeehaw, but it was a howdy or something that they didn't think I would do. But it was lots of fun to see our students. It's a great opportunity to highlight what our students are able to do, their accomplishments from last year. It really was about celebrating our students, and it was about celebrating our staff. Absolutely our teachers of the year, but also a recognition that there is not a single person in that room that does not contribute to the outcomes for students. And so I appreciate the comments on budget. I will tell you the things that we cut were things that this district believed in and felt like we needed. But we could not go on any longer in affording some of those things. And so they have been really hard cuts, but it was great to feel the celebration of coming together. We can do hard things, and we're excited to move forward because this is our mission. So the board this past spring reaffirmed what our vision is, but this is the work that we have ahead of us. In bringing the Destination 2031 to life, that is the roadmap to do exactly what we said and what our community said they wanted, which is to empower each and every learner to pursue their dreams and enrich their communities. This is just a picture of some of our students. This is our FFA students who came together to provide the pre-show fun, if you will. I can tell you, I loved announcing 2 years ago at Convocation. I announced that I think we had the 5th largest FFA program in the state. I got corrected walking on stage that day. We now have the 3rd largest FFA program in the entire state of Texas, and that is because of the dedication of our staff, our community partners that come together to create incredible experiences for our students. And so it was fun to get to highlight them, and of course our mascots. They had to have been really hot in those costumes, but they made it lots of fun. There is so much to talk about in terms of priority one. I'm not going to hit every single one of these slides, but we had a first day of school since the last time we were all together. And so in so many of these pictures, you see everything from a freshman orientation, meet and greets at elementary schools, as well as first day of school pictures. I had the honor of getting to all 21 of our campuses again this year. I was smarter this year and wore tennis shoes, and it made it a much more pleasurable experience. But what I will tell you really stood out to me. It was one of the most smooth starts to a school year I've ever experienced in my career. Every campus had their systems. I watched students learning and engaged in lessons on the very first day of school. First days are not without their hiccups. You're bringing pre-K students in and you're teaching them how to ride a bus and eat in a cafeteria for the first time. We have a massive transportation system of getting our students to and from school, and I'm incredibly proud of the first day of school and the first couple of days. Our staff, priority number 2. It's hard to say that because I think everything is a priority. They are absolutely a priority for making priority 1 happen. But these are just examples of our staff coming together. You see team building activities that they were engaged in on their campuses as they came back. You see new teachers coming together, meeting each other, fired up about joining the Belton ISD team, and of course lots of fun at Convocation, bringing our teams together. I went into almost every cafeteria space on the first day of school, and I will tell you, and I ate lunch in one of our cafeterias on the first day of school. The dumplings are amazing. I highly recommend. I thought they were a tiny bit spicy, but nobody else thought that, and our kids loved it. I had an amazing egg roll, so our staff did a great job. Our campuses were clean. They looked good, the floors were shining, we have an incredible custodial team, and so I'm just exceptionally proud of each and every member of our team. And just that last one, while it isn't marked with partners, you know, when you talk about college career military readiness, just as a reminder, I'm holding up my 4 fingers for 4 years. We have freshmen entering this school year sitting in seats that will be under a completely different college career military readiness accountability system than our sophomores, juniors, and seniors. That's a lot of work on counselors, staff, navigating 2 systems. But I will tell you what I'm really proud of is we are maximizing partners like with Temple College, while the state kind of weeds out, if you will, some of the lower level criteria that allow districts to get CCMR. So the bar is being substantially raised, and you'll see the full effect of that when our freshmen graduate from high school. And so we'll be making that transition, but we're doing it with incredible partners like Temple College. So it's been a great month since we saw each other last, and y'all, we're back. We got kids in school, and I might have picked up a cold. I don't know. I don't know what's happened to my voice. Thank y'all.
All right. Board highlights. Does anybody have anything they want to share from the last month? It's been a busy.
It has been pretty busy. I got to do my first ever parking spot painting at Belton High School with a new driver. Always fun. But it was just a great experience. Principal Knox at BHS and all of our APs are out there, and it goes on for a long time. And there's a lot of heat in that parking lot at 5 o'clock, and it sits around till 10 o'clock, 11, and it starts the next day. So really cool to see all the parents there helping with the kiddos and just the spirit going on. Convocation was awesome, as Dr. Golden mentioned. I got to go the first day of school at Sparta, BMS, and Belton High. Aaron was at Belton High. So really great seeing kids back to school, high-fiving some parents who were really excited to drop off their kiddos. Some in kindergarten were not so excited. So it is a really fun day. When you're at Sparta, you see kindergartners, you know, little bitty, and hugging their parents, and then seniors, and they're so much bigger, about to go to college. So it's a pretty cool span of the district and what goes on. And then just some tennis tournaments across the district.
Anyone else? All right, Chris.
Yeah, I'll go. And if you may have noticed, my video has changed a little bit. My machine has decided to restart right in the middle of this. So I'm coming to you live from my phone now. Got a couple of things here, right? So I started out with the One Tiger community cookout, right? And so this is really the first day of staff being back, and the staffs from BHS, Belton Middle School, and South Belton Middle School all coming together, for lunch on day one. And it was a great opportunity to go and sit down. I bounced around from table to table and talked to folks from talked to staff from all 3 of the schools. Heard some great things about what went on over the summer. Some great excitement about, what's coming on, and, heard some things about, hey, look, here's some things that we really need. And so it was a great opportunity to just kind of help everybody, back on day one, for the Tiger side of the community. Parking spot painting, always awesome. Unfortunately, I did not make it to Belton High School, although I heard some of the staff actually did it in Belton High School this year. I did make it over to Lake Belton High School for their parking lot painting. I got to tell you, like, the example of just community that pops together in that event is just absolutely insane. And, from food trucks to, the entire parking lot, I think they sold every single parking space. The technology that was employed this year, in years past, it's been freehand, it's been stencils. Folks, they were full on 10 or 12 foot ladders being erected with LED projectors, projecting things onto the parking spots, and just some of the creativity around what was going on was just absolutely amazing. So those folks were fired up to be back. I went to a couple back to school nights and walked the hall events. Certainly, I went to my own students event at Lake Belton Middle School, and that was great to see the staff. The staff was just as excited as the kids and the families, and right. I mean, again, this is middle schoolers excited to be back, right? And I also went to Lake Belton High School, and I got a lot of funny looks like, "Why are you here? You don't have a kid at high school right now." But I think it's important to kind of keep the pulse on what's going on. And again, even at the high school level, right? The high school kids were excited to be back. And I think there may have even been a couple middle schoolers walking the halls there, excited to be future Broncos. And so that again was a great event. And like a clubs and organizations fair that went on that night, for kids to find opportunities to connect to each other and to the campus. Great back to school events. Let's see, first day of school. I mean, oh geez, we have to talk about that. So along with Dr. Golden, I hit every single campus. So she started in the South, I started in the North, and we met somewhere in the middle. But I started my day at Pirtle, and I saw, talked to families who were brand new to our district, talked to families who were where English was not the primary language in the household, talked to folks who had brand spanking new kindergartners coming in, and some of them were raring to go, and some of them were a little apprehensive. Talked to folks about, hey, how does pickup work on day one? It was just an all around great experience, a lot of great excitement. To start the day there, but ultimately hit every single campus, maybe with one asterisk. I did not make it to DAEP. I'm hoping we had no customers for DAEP, no students for DAEP on day one. But in addition to the traditional campuses, I hit Delta. I went to the transportation building with Dr. Golden and talked to the transportation team about what they do for the precious cargo that they carry around, right? And I think it was a great opportunity to connect with that group. And I also went and made a ruckus in the admin building. And so sorry if you heard anything about that, Dr. Golden, but I may have run through a couple offices wishing everybody a happy first day of school. And then I think I want to wrap this up. Well, maybe I got two more items. So I want to put a huge thank you to the technology team. Right. So I think it's really obvious, about the teaching staff and everybody that, brings to life a campus. But a huge thank you to the technology team as well. Like whether it is, making sure all the classrooms and up are ready, or the massive effort that it is to get all of our devices out and assigned to our students. And so I tried to stop by as many technology folks as I saw to give them a thank you for what they were doing to support what's going on. And then, today is also about, moving in, right? So our most recent graduates are all moving in right now to the next step in their journey. And so I'm here in Fort Collins, Colorado, as my senior is moving into Colorado State. And we've got, many of our kids all moving in. I know we've got some folks moving into UT Dallas. We've got some folks moving out, all over the place, A&M right now. And so you're kind of connecting and watching what's going on with those folks. And then to bring it home, I'll just say, Aaron, thank you for stepping in today. You always do a fabulous job, and you are doing a fabulous job tonight. So with that, I will yield to whoever's next.
Okay. Well, gosh, I don't know if I want to add on to mine, because Krista, that was a lot, and that was awesome. Thank you for sharing all that. I'll just be really quick with some of mine. I mean, the Meet the Teachers are super fun, but I think I just want to make mention that our campuses do a great job of onboarding the newest of the kids. So the kindergartners that are coming to school for the first time, the sixth graders that are coming to middle school for the first time, and then even, I have a freshman, so the high schools, they do such a great job of welcoming students that are coming to their campus for the very first time. So just super appreciative for just what our campuses do to just welcome kids back and families back. Certainly convocation was a highlight. I got a pair of new boots out of that, I gotta say. Also, it was my birthday, so Andy was like, sure, go ahead. But it was a fun theme, and I had needed a pair of boots. So thank you, Christine, that was fun. First day of visits, I went to South, because since I have multiple kids at multiple campuses, it was just easier for me to go to where my kids are. And actually, Kason greeted with me outside. I ended up at South. I was kind of helping with some not traffic, but just as car riders were coming up and helping. And since I had a badge on, parents thought that I knew answers to their questions, which I directed them to the right people. But it was really fun to just talk with parents of especially the incoming sixth graders. So just that was super fun. And then went to Belton High School. And in Belton High School, granted, they had everybody meet in the commons area before they could be released. And I saw this one young man, he was just standing by himself, and so I just went up and talked to him. I won't name his name, but he had just moved to Belton. And so he's a freshman and knows literally no one in that big commons area. Such a sweet kid, and I hope I get to connect with him again. But I just kind of partnered myself with him, and we walked through his schedule and kind of showed him where to go. And so it was just, that was really sweet that I got to just hopefully able to calm some nerves with him, but really, really a sweet young man. And so, and then a couple of events that I got to go to. Again, I know I have the board hat on anywhere I go, but I'm also, I go to a lot of events because I have a lot of kids. But speaking of the new stadium lights at Belton High School, Ethan is running cross country, so the coach put on this run-a-thon where the families could come out and run under the new lights. They turned them on to an 80s theme. So yes, families came dressed in 80s attire, and we walked for an hour under the lights, under the stadium lights, and it was just it was really, I think that's probably a highlight event and it's different. It was something I'd never been to, but moms were walking strollers, kids were running with their friends, Andy and I got to walk for an hour by ourselves. That was super fun. But we also connected with other parents. But that was just such a just a fun event for families to get together. And again, I think that's just attributed to our families really come together, and our staff really do a great job of involving families. And then the last one I'll say is the Tiger Mom Camp that the Belton High School football coaches put on for moms to come. And I don't think one mom left that camp with a dry eye, even though we started out on the field learning routes and plays and how to kick and how to catch and throw and all just the super fun things that are alongside of our boys. And we got to learn all the things in the weight room and all the things about their uniform. But at the very end of it, he had all of the senior boys with their moms and had them present not only a rose to their mom, but literally made them come out into the middle of the field house and up in the weight room and let them have an opportunity to just tell their mom just whatever was on their mind. And of course it was all, thank you for the early mornings, thank you for the late nights, and all the things. And it was just, I was just taken by that he really gave that opportunity for the boys to really say thanks to the moms. And so it was a really special event. So yeah, that was really fun. And that's it. All right, anybody else?
Yeah, I went to Southwest Elementary, and it was kind of fun. There were probably 7 or 8 military folks there opening the doors, so of the cars, and then they were greeted, and then Mary Hardin Baylor had their basketball team there. So you've got these 6'8" guys standing there giving high fives, and kids looked well prepared. The families were excited, and it was a great atmosphere.
All right, well, that concludes this evening's report. Let's move on to the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to pull an item for discussion?
Aaron, I'd like to pull item G, Gate and Roadway Easement Agreement with WBW Single Development Group LLC. I'd like to make some comments about that and then maybe have some discussion.
Okay. So from what I think we're going to do is we're going to take action on the consent agenda minus G, and then we'll open it up for G. Is that correct? Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented without item G? Would that be correct language? Okay. All right. Do we have a motion? Okay, Mr. Preston? Is there a second?
Sure, I'll second.
Mr. Floor? Is there any additional discussion? All right, all in favor, raise your hand. And that passes 7-0. All right, so I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Golden, to get us started on that conversation with item G.
Yeah, just a couple of introductory statements. I'd like to know more about how we ended up here with this on the consent agenda. As I understand it, I know it says gate and roadway easement with WRW Single Development Group LLC, but I think specifically it involves Three Creeks subdivision. And I'd like to recognize Commissioner Russell Snyder, that's on the Commissioners Court, along with the rest of the Commissioner, Bell County Commissioners. And I think this also involved the HOA for Three Creeks, right?
Yes.
And I think that's headed by Jeff Howard.
Yes.
And I think through a collaborative effort, we were able to come up with this easement. And I'd like you to address the importance of the easement and why we needed it to begin with.
Absolutely, and Michael, correct anything I mess up. We were having a challenge in a new section of Three Creeks. The way that new section was developed, we were not able to get our standard buses to actually drive into that part of the community and be able to turn around and come out. And so as a result, our student drop-off and pickup was at this really busy roundabout, kind of right off of that main roundabout in the Three Creeks area. And so to me, it really was a beautiful example of the community coming together. I think about our values around trust, empowerment, adaptability, community, and high expectations. It took a community effort to figure this out. And so, yes, we worked with county commissioners and our HOA, particularly Mr. Jeff Howard, to come together and figure out a solution. We figured out a solution, and that's what this item is. Our county commissioners approved, and they are funding this solution. There will be a way to electronically open a gate that will allow our buses to drive through that part of the community, pick up our students, and then drive through a gate section, pick up students in the adjacent neighborhood, and then head on to school. And so it was a beautiful solution with lots of people coming to the table. We were very fortunate, given our funding situation, to have our county commissioners approve to fund that. We will maintain that over time. It's not quite completely finished yet, but we started with a version of the solution on the first day of school, and it worked. It worked. So just incredibly proud of that partnership. And again, I think a beautiful example of community engagement enhances the educational experience of our students, and it is a much better situation for our students in that section now.
A big safety issue, right? That's been resolved.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Golden.
Yes, thank you. All right, so do we have a motion to approve item G? Mr. Beck? Is there a second? Mr. Brandon Bozon. That's right, got to get all this right. I hope you can read all my chicken scratch, Becca. All right, so let's all in favor? All in favor? 7, and that passes 7-0. Okay. All right, so now we're going to go on to public comments regarding non-agenda items. Becca, are there any? All right, there being no public comments, we will move on to closed session. And the time is 7:59, and the board will now go into closed session for A, student disciplinary matter, Texas Government Code Section 551.082, personnel, Texas Government Code Section 551.074, consultation with attorney, Texas Government Code Section 551.071, and superintendent's contract, Texas Government Code Section 551.071. Yo, I'm not even on. The time is 8:46, and the board will now reconvene in open session. All action items, reports, and consent items for this meeting have been addressed. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 8:46.